The large auditorium buzzed with anticipation as attendees filed into their seats, the air electric with excitement. Elon Musk rarely participated in public Q&A sessions, and when he did, his audiences were a mix of aspiring entrepreneurs, tech enthusiasts, and curious fans. This evening was no exception. The stage was bathed in warm light, and Elon sat comfortably in a simple chair, his demeanor relaxed yet commanding. As the session began, questions poured in, ranging from technical inquiries about Tesla and SpaceX to broader philosophical musings about the future of humanity. Elon answered each with his characteristic blend of insight and dry humor, captivating the audience. Yet, amidst the sea of hands and eager voices, one stood out. In the middle row, a young woman hesitantly raised her hand. Her expression was a mix of nervousness and determination. She had been waiting for this moment, but hadn't expected to feel so exposed under the bright lights. Elon noticed her and gestured for the microphone to be passed her way. The woman introduced herself as Emma, her voice trembling slightly. She glanced at the empty seat beside her before speaking. "Mr. Musk," she began, pausing to steady herself. "I know this might be a bit personal compared to the other questions, but I need advice, not about technology or business, but about love." The room grew quiet, a ripple of surprise passing through the crowd. Elon leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Go on," he encouraged, his tone gentle. Emma took a deep breath. "My partner, Noah, and I have been together for years. We used to dream big together. He inspired me, and I think I inspired him too. But somewhere along the way, life got complicated. We started drifting apart. Now it feels like we're just two people living side by side, not the team we once were. I don't want to lose what we had, but I don't know how to fix it. How do you rebuild something when it feels like it's already slipping away?" Her vulnerability silenced the room. Even Elon, known for his quick wit, took a moment to respond. He studied Emma, noticing the way her hands gripped the microphone, her knuckles white with tension. Finally, he spoke, his voice thoughtful. "Relationships are a lot like building something from scratch," he began. "They require vision, effort, and sometimes a willingness to tear things down and rebuild them better. But here's the key. Both people need to want to rebuild. It takes two architects to create something lasting." Emma nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "What if one of those architects has lost faith in the project?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elon's gaze softened. "Then the first step is reminding them why they started building in the first place. Sometimes people lose sight of the foundation when they're overwhelmed by cracks in the structure. But if the foundation is strong, it's worth repairing." He paused, glancing at the empty seat beside Emma. "Where is Noah tonight?" Emma hesitated, looking down at her lap. "He didn't want to come," she admitted. "We've been distant lately, and he's withdrawn." Elon nodded thoughtfully. "It's hard to reconnect when someone pulls away, but it's not impossible. It starts with communication, but sometimes actions speak louder than words. Maybe there's a way to remind both of you what made your relationship special in the first place." The session moved on to other questions, but Emma's lingered in Elon's mind. There was something about her raw honesty and the way she spoke of Noah that struck a chord. As the night ended and the crowd dispersed, Elon made a mental note to follow up. He wasn't sure why, but her story felt important, like an opportunity to use his influence in a way that went beyond technology and business. Emma sat alone in her small apartment later that evening, replaying the Q&A session in her mind. Elon's words had struck a chord, but they also unearthed a flood of memories she had been trying to suppress. Her gaze drifted to a framed photo on the shelf, a snapshot of her and Noah taken during the summer they had met. In the picture, they were laughing, carefree, with the kind of joy that seemed impossible now. She picked up the frame, running her fingers over the glass, as the memories came rushing back. They had met during a summer internship program at a tech company, both wide-eyed and ambitious. Emma, an aspiring artist who had reluctantly taken a graphic design internship, had been immediately drawn to Noah's infectious energy and quick wit. He was studying engineering, brimming with ideas for innovative projects and a dream of starting his own business. They quickly bonded over late-night brainstorming sessions, where Emma's creativity blended seamlessly with Noah's technical expertise. By the end of the summer, they weren't just a great team. They were inseparable. Their relationship blossomed in the years that followed. Emma encouraged Noah to pursue his dream of launching a tech startup, even when it meant long hours and little time for anything else. Meanwhile, Noah became Emma's biggest supporter, pushing her to embrace her passion for painting and reminding her that her art deserved to be seen. They often joked that they were each other's cheerleaders, and their dynamic felt unstoppable. But life, as it often does, threw challenges their way. Noah's startup struggled to secure funding, leading to financial stress that quickly spiraled. Emma, who had been freelancing as an artist, found herself picking up odd jobs to make ends meet. The creative spark that had once defined their relationship dimmed under the weight of unpaid bills and mounting responsibilities. Arguments became more frequent. Noah, once so open and enthusiastic, began withdrawing, consumed by the pressures of his struggling business. Emma, feeling neglected and overwhelmed, tried to bridge the growing distance between them, but her efforts often ended in frustration. They both carried unspoken fears. Noah worried he was failing as a partner, while Emma feared she was no longer a priority in his life. The breaking point came during a quiet evening at home. Emma had spent hours preparing a dinner she hoped would reignite the connection they once shared. But Noah barely touched his plate, his mind clearly elsewhere. When she finally confronted him, her voice trembling with hurt, he snapped, accusing her of not understanding the pressure he was under. The argument escalated, each of them saying things they later regretted. And by the end of the night, the gulf between them felt insurmountable. Though they didn't officially break up, their relationship shifted into an uncomfortable limbo. They still lived together but avoided meaningful conversations. The laughter that had once filled their home was replaced by silence, and their shared dreams seemed like distant memories. Emma threw herself into her art, hoping it would distract her from the ache in her chest, while Noah buried himself in work, avoiding the tension altogether. As Emma sat staring at the photo now, she couldn't help but wonder how they had let things unravel so completely. She missed the Noah who had once believed in her so fiercely, just as she missed the version of herself who had been so confident in their love. Elon's words echoed in her mind. Sometimes people lose sight of the foundation when they're overwhelmed by cracks in the structure. She thought about the invitation from Tesla's team. Convincing Noah to go would be a challenge, but deep down, she felt it was their last chance to salvage what they had lost. For the first time in months, a small flicker of hope sparked within her. Maybe this wasn't the end of their story. Maybe it was the beginning of something new. The day after the Q&A, Emma was still replaying the exchange in her mind when her phone buzzed with a notification. It was an email from an unfamiliar address with the subject line, "Invitation from Elon Musk." Her heart raced as she opened it, scanning the brief but formal message. The email was from one of Elon's assistants, inviting her and Noah to Tesla's headquarters for a meeting with Elon himself. She read the words over and over, disbelief giving way to a mix of excitement and nervousness. The invitation was surreal, like something out of a dream. She sat frozen for several minutes, staring at the screen. It felt like an opportunity, perhaps even a lifeline, but the thought of sharing it with Noah made her stomach twist. Things between them had grown so tense that she wasn't sure he'd even entertain the idea of going, let alone see it as something worth their time. Finally, she mustered the courage to bring it up that evening. Noah was sitting on the couch, laptop balanced on his knees, his expression a familiar mask of exhaustion. Emma hovered in the doorway, clutching her phone. "Noah," she began hesitantly, "there's something I need to tell you." He glanced up, his brow furrowing. "What's wrong?" he asked, closing his laptop with a sigh. "Nothing's wrong," she said quickly, taking a seat across from him. "It's just, I got an email today from Elon Musk's team that caught his attention." His eyes narrowed in confusion. "Elon Musk?" She nodded, holding up her phone for him to see. "He wants to meet us, both of us, at Tesla headquarters." Noah frowned, taking the phone from her and reading the email. When he finished, he handed it back with a skeptical look. "Why would Elon Musk want to meet us? This has to be some kind of mistake." "It's not a mistake," Emma insisted, her voice firm despite her own lingering doubts. "He remembered what I said at the Q&A. He must think, maybe he can help us somehow." Noah leaned back, rubbing his temples. "Emma, this sounds crazy. We don't know anything about why he wants to meet. What if it's just some publicity stunt?" She bit her lip, her frustration bubbling to the surface. I don't think it is. He didn't have to reach out at all, but he did. Don't you think that means something? Don't you think we should at least hear what he has to say? Noah hesitated, the weight of his own doubts holding him back. But as he looked at Emma, her hopeful expression tinged with desperation, something softened in him. He could see how much this meant to her, and despite his skepticism, he couldn't bring himself to dismiss it outright. Okay, he said finally, his tone reluctant. I'll go. For you. Relief flooded through Emma, and she managed a small smile. Thank you, she said quietly. That's all I'm asking. The following morning, they found themselves seated in the back of a sleek Tesla sent to pick them up. The ride was silent, both of them lost in their thoughts. Emma stole a glance at Noah, who was staring out the window, his jaw set. She couldn't tell if he was nervous, annoyed, or both. For her part, she felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety, unsure of what awaited them at Tesla's headquarters. As the car pulled into the sprawling complex, the grandeur of the building took their breath away. They were greeted by a staff member who escorted them through the impressive halls, every step amplifying their unease. Finally, they were led into a private conference room where Elon Musk was waiting, his casual demeanor at odds with the couple's tension. Emma, Noah, he said warmly, standing to greet them. I'm glad you came. His tone was kind, almost disarming, but neither Emma nor Noah could shake the feeling that they were stepping into something far bigger than they had anticipated. Emma and Noah sat across from Elon Musk in the sleek modern conference room, their emotions a mix of unease and curiosity. The room's expansive windows flooded the space with natural light, offering a view of Tesla's bustling campus. Elon, dressed casually in a dark blazer over a simple t-shirt, exuded an approachable confidence. His demeanor was calm, but his piercing gaze seemed to take in everything at once. First, Elon began, leaning forward slightly. Thank you for coming. I know this is probably not how you imagined spending your day. Emma offered a nervous smile, while Noah shifted in his chair, unsure how to respond. The atmosphere was surreal, the kind of moment neither of them had ever anticipated. Elon continued, his tone thoughtful. I wanted to meet you because what Emma said at the Q&A stuck with me. It's not often people are willing to be that vulnerable in a room full of strangers. That takes courage. Emma felt a flush rise to her cheeks, her fingers twisting together in her lap. I didn't think I'd even get to ask my question, she admitted quietly. But I didn't know what else to do. Elon nodded, his expression serious. Sometimes the hardest step is admitting there's a problem, but that's also the first step toward finding a solution. He shifted his gaze to Noah, who sat stiffly beside Emma. I understand things have been difficult. Noah hesitated, then gave a curt nod. Yeah, you could say that. Elon studied him for a moment, then said, relationships are complicated. They're not so different from building a company, really. They require communication, adaptability, and a shared vision. Lose any one of those, and the structure starts to falter. Emma's eyes darted to Noah, who remained silent but seemed to be listening intently. Sensing the tension between them, Elon leaned back in his chair, his tone softening. Would you mind sharing your story with me? How you met, what brought you together, what made it special? For a moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Emma cleared her throat and began to recount their early days, her voice tinged with nostalgia. She spoke about their summer internship, the late-night brainstorming sessions, and the way they had inspired each other. As she talked, a faint smile tugged at Noah's lips, though he didn't interrupt. When Emma finished, Elon turned to Noah. And now? He asked gently. What's changed? Noah let out a heavy sigh, running a hand through his hair. Life happened, he said simply. Things got harder than we expected. Work, money, expectations, it all piled up. And somewhere along the way, we stopped being a team. I guess I stopped knowing how to fix it. Elon listened intently, his expression thoughtful. It's easy to get lost in the noise, he said after a pause. But the foundation you built together, that doesn't just disappear. It's still there, even if it's buried under stress and miscommunication. Emma's eyes filled with tears and she quickly blinked them away. I just want us to find it again, she whispered. Elon nodded. I think you can, but it's going to take effort from both of you. He leaned forward, his tone shifting slightly. I have an idea. It's a little unconventional, but I think it might help." The couple looked at him, curiosity sparking in their eyes. "What kind of idea?" Noah asked cautiously. "A project," Elon replied. "Something you can work on together. It's not about fixing everything overnight. It's about reconnecting through collaboration. I want to give you a chance to rediscover what made you such a strong team in the first place." Emma and Noah exchanged uncertain glances, but there was a glimmer of hope in their expressions. "What kind of project?" Emma asked. Elon smiled faintly. "Let's just say it's going to challenge you, but I think it's exactly what you need." His words hung in the air, sparking a flicker of anticipation between the couple, as if, for the first time in a long time, they could imagine a way forward. Emma and Noah stood side by side in a vast, well-lit space at Tesla's headquarters, staring at the blank wall that would soon become their canvas. The size of it was daunting, stretching nearly 20 feet wide and towering above them. Elon had explained the project briefly before leaving them to it. Create a mural that symbolized innovation, connection, and resilience. It was a simple brief on paper, but carried the weight of rediscovering their lost partnership. Emma clutched her sketchbook, filled with tentative designs she had worked on the night before. Noah had brought a tablet loaded with 3D renderings of potential layouts. Their tools were spread out on a nearby table: paint cans, brushes, and digital projectors, all provided by Tesla's team. The resources were overwhelming, yet Emma and Noah remained rooted in uncertainty. "So," Noah began, breaking the heavy silence, "where do we start?" Emma hesitated, flipping through her sketchbook. "I was thinking we could use this design as a base," she said, holding up a page. It featured flowing, interconnected lines that symbolized unity, with bursts of color representing creativity and growth. Noah frowned, pulling out his tablet. "It's nice, but I think we need something more structured. Maybe we use a geometric layout to create balance. These kinds of projects work better with precision." Emma felt her frustration flare but kept her voice measured. "It doesn't have to be perfect, Noah. Art is about emotion, not just technical accuracy. And it still needs to make sense visually," Noah countered, his tone edging toward defensiveness. "We can't just throw paint on the wall and call it a day." The tension that had been simmering between them boiled to the surface. Old patterns of miscommunication crept back in, each misunderstanding layering over the last. The more they debated, the more the blank wall seemed to mock their inability to work together. After an hour of back and forth, Emma set down her sketchbook with a sigh. "This isn't working," she said, stepping away. "Maybe we're just not meant to do this." Noah stared at the wall, his jaw tightening. "Maybe you're right," he muttered. "We can't even agree on a starting point." They both fell silent, the weight of their struggles pressing down on them. But as Emma stared at the wall, a memory flickered in her mind. The late-night brainstorming sessions from their internship days, when they would combine her creativity with Noah's practicality. Back then, they had been unstoppable, feeding off each other's energy. What had changed? She looked over at Noah, who was scrolling through his tablet, his expression a mix of frustration and resignation. "Do you remember that first project we worked on together?" she asked softly. "The one where we stayed up all night designing that interactive art display?" Noah glanced at her, his features softening. "Yeah," he said with a faint smile. "You convinced me that adding splashes of color would make it more engaging, and you were right." Emma smiled back, a tentative truce forming between them. "Maybe we can do something like that again. Blend your structure with my creativity." Noah nodded slowly, setting down his tablet. "Okay," he said. "Let's try." They began sketching together, combining elements of Emma's flowing lines with Noah's geometric designs. Their initial tension gave way to a cautious rhythm as they worked side by side. Small moments of laughter broke through as they reminisced about their early days, each memory a reminder of why they had fallen in love. But just as progress began to feel natural, a spill from one of the paint cans disrupted their workflow. A cascade of vibrant blue paint streaked across the wall, threatening to ruin hours of careful planning. Emma gasped, her hands flying to her face. Noah groaned, his frustration flaring again. "Great," he muttered. "What now?" Emma stared at the streak, her heart pounding. But instead of panicking, she grabbed a brush and began spreading the paint, turning the mishap into part of the design. "We adapt," she said, her voice steady. Noah watched her for a moment, then picked up a brush of his own. "Together," he said, joining her. For the first time in months, it felt like they were a team again. The streak of blue paint that had threatened to derail their progress became the catalyst Emma and Noah didn't realize they needed. As they worked together to integrate it into the design, their movements began to synchronize, the tension between them easing with each brushstroke. For a few fleeting moments, it felt like they were rediscovering the rhythm that had once defined their partnership. But the calm didn't last. As the mural took shape, their differing visions resurfaced, bringing old frustrations to the forefront. Emma wanted the lines to flow more freely, while Noah insisted on maintaining a precise grid pattern to frame the design. Each compromise felt like a loss to the other, and their discussions grew increasingly strained. "This isn't working," Noah snapped one evening, stepping back from the wall with a frustrated sigh. "We can't just keep throwing ideas together and hoping they'll stick." Emma bristled, dropping her brush onto the table. "I'm not just throwing ideas, Noah. I'm trying to create something meaningful. But all you care about is making it perfect. Because it needs to make sense," he shot back. "You're so focused on the emotional side of it that you're ignoring the structure. And you're so obsessed with structure that you're forgetting what this is supposed to represent." Emma's voice rose, her frustration spilling over. "This isn't just a project. It's about us. Or have you already given up on that too?" Noah froze, her words hitting deeper than either of them expected. For a moment, the room was silent, the tension thick enough to feel suffocating. Noah's shoulders slumped and he turned away from the wall, staring at the floor. "I haven't given up," he said quietly. "But maybe I don't know how to fix this anymore." Emma's anger wavered, replaced by the ache she had carried for months. She took a hesitant step toward him, her voice softer now. "Then tell me, Noah, what are you afraid of? Because I'm scared too. Scared that we've lost something we can't get back." Noah looked up at her, his expression weary but open. "I'm afraid that I'm failing you," he admitted, his voice trembling. "That I've been so focused on everything going wrong that I stopped being the person you fell in love with." Tears welled in Emma's eyes, and she nodded. "And I'm afraid I stopped inspiring you," she said, her voice breaking. "That I'm just another thing you have to carry instead of someone who lifts you up." Their words hung in the air, raw and vulnerable. For the first time in what felt like forever, they weren't arguing about the surface-level issues. They were confronting the fears and insecurities that had driven them apart. Emma reached for Noah's hand, and he didn't pull away. Instead, he held on tightly, as if anchoring himself to her. "We've both made mistakes," Emma said after a long pause. "But I don't want to lose us. Not when I know how much we mean to each other." Noah nodded, his grip on her hand tightening. "Neither do I. I just don't know how to start fixing it." Their moment of connection was interrupted by the sound of the door opening. Elon stepped into the room, his expression a mix of curiosity and concern. "How's it going in here?" he asked, glancing at the half-finished mural. Emma and Noah exchanged a look before turning back to Elon. "It's been a little rocky," Emma admitted, wiping her eyes. "But I think we're starting to figure it out." Elon smiled faintly, nodding. "Good. The best projects always hit a rough patch. It means you're pushing yourselves. Just remember why you're doing this. It's not about creating a perfect mural. It's about creating something that matters." His words resonated, grounding them in the moment. As Elon left, Emma and Noah turned back to the wall, their focus renewed. They began painting again, this time with a shared understanding. Every line and color became a reflection of their journey. Messy, imperfect, but undeniably meaningful. Together they were building something that mattered, just as Elon had said. The final strokes of paint were applied just as the afternoon light spilled through the large windows of the studio, casting a warm glow across the mural. Emma and Noah stepped back together, their hands still speckled with paint, and gazed at their creation. The once empty wall now came alive with vibrant intertwining lines that merged structured geometric shapes with flowing organic patterns. The design was dynamic and striking, a perfect balance of Emma's artistry and Noah's precision. It wasn't just a mural. It was a reflection of their journey, full of imperfections yet undeniably beautiful. The central motif of the mural was a pair of abstract figures, their hands reaching toward each other, surrounded by bursts of color that seemed to radiate energy and connection. The figures were deliberately incomplete, their outlines blurring into the surrounding patterns, symbolizing the ongoing nature of building and rebuilding relationships. Emma and Noah had poured their hearts into the piece, and it showed. For a moment, neither of them spoke, their breaths shallow from the intensity of the past weeks. Then, Noah broke the silence. "We actually did it," he said softly, his voice tinged with awe. Emma turned to look at him, a small smile playing on her lips. "Yeah, we did," she replied. Her gaze lingered on him, noticing the way his posture had relaxed, the tension in his face replaced with a quiet pride. For the first time in months, she saw the Noah she had fallen in love with, and her heart swelled with gratitude. Their moment of reflection was interrupted as the door opened, and a small group of Tesla employees walked in to see the finished mural. The sound of their gasps and murmurs of admiration filled the room. One employee stepped closer, snapping a photo with their phone. "This is incredible," they said. "It's not just art. It feels like it's telling a story." Elon Musk arrived shortly after, his expression lighting up as he took in the mural. He moved closer, examining the intricate details with genuine appreciation. "This is extraordinary," he said, turning to Emma and Noah. "It's everything I hoped for and more. You've captured the essence of what this project was about: connection, resilience, and the beauty of collaboration." The weight of Elon's praise sank in, and both Emma and Noah felt an overwhelming mix of relief and pride. It wasn't just about completing the mural. It was about proving to themselves that they could still work together as a team, that their connection wasn't lost, but had simply needed to be rediscovered. Word of the mural quickly spread throughout the Tesla campus, and soon, employees were visiting the studio to admire it. Photos of the piece made their way to social media, garnering attention from art enthusiasts and media outlets alike. Articles described it as a masterpiece of human connection, highlighting Emma and Noah's story as the heart behind its creation. Amid the growing recognition, Elon approached Emma and Noah with an unexpected invitation. "We're hosting an event next month to showcase creative projects that blend art and innovation," he explained. "I'd like you two to present your mural and share your story. I think it's something people need to hear." The idea of standing in front of an audience and recounting their personal struggles made both Emma and Noah hesitate. But as they exchanged a glance, they realized that this was an opportunity not just to share their art, but to reflect on how far they had come. After a brief pause, Emma nodded, and Noah followed suit. "We'd be honored," Emma said, her voice steady. As they left the studio that day, the mural behind them, Emma and Noah felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced their fears, confronted their differences, and created something truly meaningful together. It wasn't just a turning point for the mural. It was a turning point for their relationship, a reminder of why they had chosen each other in the first place. The room buzzed with anticipation as Emma and Noah stepped onto the stage, the spotlight illuminating their figures against the backdrop of their mural projected on a massive screen. The Tesla event had drawn an impressive crowd: engineers, artists, journalists, and innovators, all eager to witness the blend of creativity and technology. Emma adjusted the microphone nervously, her hands trembling slightly, while Noah stood beside her, his usual composed demeanor betrayed by the tight grip he had on the small note cards in his hand. As the applause quieted, Emma took a deep breath and began. "Thank you for having us here today," she said, her voice shaky but sincere. "When we first started this project, we didn't know what it would become. Honestly, we weren't sure if we'd even be able to finish it." Noah chimed in, his tone steady but soft. "We've been together for a long time, and like any couple, we've faced our share of challenges. But somewhere along the way, we lost sight of what brought us together in the first place. This mural was more than just an art project for us. It was a way to rediscover what we had forgotten about each other." As they spoke, they recounted the highs and lows of their journey, the excitement of starting the mural, the clashes that reignited old frustrations, and the breakthrough moments that reminded them of their shared strength. Emma's voice faltered briefly as she described how distant they had grown before the project, but Noah placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, silently encouraging her to continue. "When we started painting," Emma said, her voice gaining confidence, We weren't just working on a wall. We were working on ourselves, on our relationship. Every brushstroke, every decision we made together forced us to communicate, to compromise, and to trust each other again. Noah picked up where she left off. And it wasn't easy. There were times we thought we might fail. But through the mistakes, the messes, and even the arguments, we found something we hadn't felt in a long time. A connection. The mural isn't just a piece of art. It's a reminder of what we can create when we work together. The audience was silent, hanging on their every word. Emma and Noah had bared their vulnerabilities, speaking with a raw honesty that resonated deeply. As Emma finished sharing a final reflection about how the mural had become a symbol of their resilience, the room erupted into applause. The sound was overwhelming, a standing ovation from an audience moved by their story. Tears welled in Emma's eyes as she glanced at Noah, who gave her a small, proud smile. In that moment, the applause wasn't just for their mural. It was for the journey they had taken together, the courage it had taken to face their struggles, and the love that had brought them back to each other. After the applause died down, Elon Musk stepped onto the stage, his presence commanding yet approachable. He turned to Emma and Noah, his expression one of admiration. "What you've shared here today is a reminder of something we often overlook," he began. "Collaboration, whether in technology or relationships, requires courage. It requires vulnerability and the willingness to adapt. You two didn't just create a mural. You created a testament to the strength of connection." He turned to the audience, his tone thoughtful. "Innovation isn't just about machines or ideas, it's about people. It's about how we support each other, push each other, and build something greater together. Emma and Noah have shown us what that looks like." The crowd erupted into applause once more as Elon shook their hands and led them off stage. Backstage, Emma and Noah embraced, the weight of the moment sinking in. For the first time in months, they felt not only like a team again, but like a couple who had rediscovered the best parts of themselves. That night, as they reflected on the event, Emma leaned against Noah, her head resting on his shoulder. "We did it," she whispered. He smiled, pressing a kiss to her temple. "Yeah, we did," he said softly. And for the first time in a long time, they both believed that their best days were still ahead of them. Returning home after the Tesla event, Emma and Noah felt a renewed sense of purpose. Their apartment, which had once felt like a place of tension and unspoken emotions, now carried a sense of calm. The light streaming through the windows seemed brighter, the space more open. Everything around them felt different, not because the world had changed, but because they had. They spent the next few days reflecting on everything they had shared on stage and the overwhelming support they had received. The applause and encouragement had been validating, but what mattered most was how they had faced their struggles together. The mural had been more than a project. It had been a lifeline, a way to rediscover the foundation of their relationship. For the first time in months, they started making plans for the future, not just as individuals, but as a team. Emma, inspired by the feedback on her artistic vision, began exploring ways to use her talent to create something meaningful for their community. "I've always wanted to do more than just paint," she told Noah one evening, sketching ideas at the kitchen table. "What if we started something that helps other people tell their stories too?" Noah leaned over her shoulder, watching as she sketched the outline of a mural. "A community art initiative," he said thoughtfully. "We could involve local artists, kids, anyone who wants to express themselves. I could help with the logistics, organizing workshops, finding sponsors. We could make it something sustainable." Emma looked up at him, her eyes bright with excitement. "You'd really want to do this with me?" Noah smiled, his hand resting on hers. "Of course. We're a team, remember?" Their excitement grew as they began drafting plans. Emma reached out to local artists she had met over the years, while Noah used his networking skills to connect with community leaders and organizations. The support they received was immediate and enthusiastic. People were drawn to their vision of using art to foster connection and healing, and soon, they had the beginnings of a network ready to bring the project to life. One of the most unexpected sources of support came from the connections they had made through Tesla. Several employees who had admired their mural offered to help promote their initiative, while Elon's team reached out with resources and advice. The mural at Tesla had sparked conversations not just about art, but about collaboration and resilience. and many wanted to see how Emma and Noah's vision could expand beyond that single wall. As the pieces began falling into place, Emma and Noah found themselves rediscovering the joy of working together. They spent hours brainstorming, laughing, and occasionally disagreeing, but their conflicts now felt productive, rather than divisive. They had learned how to listen to each other, how to find solutions instead of creating barriers. Each challenge they faced became an opportunity to grow stronger, both as partners and as individuals. Their initiative officially launched a few months later with a community event at a local park. The centerpiece was a large wall that would serve as the first of many community murals, with contributions from people of all ages and backgrounds. Emma guided participants in choosing colors and designs, while Noah ensured the event ran smoothly, coordinating volunteers and handling logistics. As they stood back and watched the mural come to life, Emma leaned into Noah, her voice filled with gratitude. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Noah nodded, his arm wrapping around her shoulders. "And this is just the beginning," he said. Their relationship flourished in ways they hadn't thought possible. The tension and distance that had once defined their days were replaced with a sense of partnership and shared purpose. They had found a way to blend their strengths, to build something not just for themselves, but for others. Through their struggles, they had created a legacy of connection, proving that even in the darkest moments, love and teamwork could light the way forward. The success of their community art initiative marked a new chapter for Emma and Noah, one filled with a sense of purpose and shared vision. The project had grown far beyond their initial plans, becoming a beacon of creativity and connection for the entire town. Murals now adorned walls across the community, each one a collective effort that told a unique story of resilience, love, and hope. Families, friends, and even strangers worked side by side to create these works of art, and Emma and Noah were at the heart of it all. Their story continued to capture attention beyond their local community. Media outlets followed up on the couple who had once stood on Tesla's stage, highlighting the ripple effect of their journey. People were inspired not just by the beauty of their murals, but by the transformation Emma and Noah had undergone, turning a relationship on the brink into a partnership stronger than ever. In an interview with a major publication, Elon Musk reflected on his decision to get involved with Emma and Noah. "Helping them wasn't about charity," he said. "It was about recognizing potential. They had something special, something worth saving, but they needed a spark to rediscover it. The truth is, whether it's in relationships or in innovation, collaboration is key. They reminded me that building anything meaningful starts with human connection." Elon's words resonated with people around the world, sparking conversations about the importance of relationships in all aspects of life. He emphasized that the principles of perseverance, creativity, and communication weren't limited to business. They were just as crucial in personal connections. "Sometimes we focus so much on progress that we forget why we're striving for it in the first place," he said. Emma and Noah reminded me of the why. For Emma and Noah, the acknowledgement was humbling, but what mattered most was the life they had rebuilt together. They often spoke about how Elon's unexpected intervention had given them a chance to pause, reflect, and reconnect. In interviews and community events, they shared their gratitude openly. "It wasn't just about the mural," Emma said during one event. "It was about learning how to communicate again, how to trust each other, and how to see each other's strengths instead of just focusing on the flaws." Noah echoed her sentiments. "The mural taught us that mistakes and imperfections aren't failures. They're part of the process. Whether it's a relationship or a work of art, the best things come from learning to adapt and grow together." Their story inspired others to take a closer look at their own relationships. Couples reached out to Emma and Noah, sharing their struggles and seeking advice. Some joined the community art initiative, finding healing through creativity and connection. Others simply found hope in knowing that even the most fractured bonds could be mended with effort and understanding. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma and Noah found themselves painting together on a new mural, a special piece to celebrate the anniversary of their initiative. The scene depicted two abstract figures reaching for each other, their hands meeting at the center of a vibrant burst of color. It was a reflection of their journey and the connection they had rebuilt, a reminder of how far they had come. As they worked, their laughter echoed through the quiet street, blending with the soft strokes of their brushes. Noah paused, watching Emma as she added the final details. "You know," he said, his voice warm, "this might be my favorite thing we've done." Emma turned to him, her eyes shining. "Mine too," she said softly. And in that moment, surrounded by the colors they had chosen together, it felt like everything had fallen into place. Emma and Noah's story shows that love, like art, takes effort, patience, and collaboration. What steps can you take today to reconnect with someone important in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire connection and resilience.